Let me start. Same thing I asked Coach about. Ariel had the quote at the end of the last series, like, we're so close and we're tired of being so close. And it seemed like that kind of painted two different pictures about kind of where you guys are at. As that series has kind of resonated in the last couple of weeks, kind of where you guys are at as a group, what do you feel like the mentality is, having battled through a couple of tough series and kind of wanting to build on those?
Mm-hmm. I think it's just knowing that we're right there, and one or two little things throughout each game can completely flip either side, to the opponent or to us, and learning how to take control of those little things and being on the right side of it. We know we can compete with anybody and beat anybody, and so it's just following through on what we know how to do.
How has that kind of outlook and mentality shifted over your career, Bunk, and that you go back to year one and when you guys were taking on UCLA and yet you managed to go down there and get a game where for the freshman group, you guys really didn't know what you did, and obviously things were really tough, but you managed to do it. And then in later years, 2 years ago, you guys traded several games with them over the course of a non-conference and conference play. How does it change at different points? Was there ever a feeling like, oh, we're playing the top three team, we aren't necessarily there yet, versus now going every weekend and feeling like, all right, you really do have a live shot every given game? Does that change over the years?
I think that first year we're definitely limited in how many people we had on the team, and we had such a young team. And knowing that then if we could take a game, we could very well do that and take a whole series and even sweep this weekend. So it's just anyone could beat anybody at any time, and knowing that we have enough tools in our tool chest to do that. And I don't think that's really changed over the years. I think we've always had the belief in ourselves that we can take any series.
Does it mean a little bit more against UCLA, a team that's kind of seen as the top of the conference over the last few years, to go in, get games, get series against a team like that?
Yeah, there's always going to be a pressure when you're facing any Pac-12 team. Like, you want to take a game because every single weekend's like a super regional. And I think every weekend thus far and going forward, we're going to be treating it like a super regional. And UCLA is a great team, and we're facing a lot of great teams this year. Every weekend's going to be a dogfight, and just keeping that in mind and just grinding out every game.
You've talked about how the PAC in general humbles people. That was a quote from several years ago. It humbles you. It exposes all your flaws. Going into a series like this, where it's not just a PAC, but a top PAC team, people who are struggling, how do you, as a leader, try to get them to relax and not get caught up in all of the rigmarole of struggles and self-fulfilling prophecies?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think softball is just a hard game, and reminding everyone, hey, like, this at-bat is different than the last at-bat. It doesn't matter what happened. I think that's where I've gotten better as a player, is realizing that, sure, I might be 0 for 2 at the first 2 at-bats, but it doesn't matter because I have another opportunity. Keeping in that mindset all game is super important against great teams, and because you never know, you come up in the 6th and 7th and you might not have gotten what you've wanted in the first few innings, but you have a big opportunity to come up clutch for your team. And so staying selfless in that way is really important as a softball player, and that's something that's really tested in the PAC.
Well, when Coach talks about stepping up in those moments, particularly this past weekend, there were lots of them that kind of went each way. Are you cognizant of how much better you are so far this season? And I mean, you were already good, but do you even know what your batting average is with runners in scoring position this year?
No, and yeah, I don't. I think, again, going back to the mentality of one at bat at a time, that mentality that I've been able to get through this year, and what I'm trying to encourage everyone to, it's so freeing to be able to think of everything as, okay, here's your first at bat of the day, and your whatever happens, and you move on to the next. You have another opportunity, and that's like the most freeing feeling, I think, for me and for a lot of people who get to that point. And so reiterating that to everyone, hey, you're going to get another opportunity, let's get that one, is just, I think, produces better outcomes.
As a team, when you guys are hitting, say someone's not getting the hits to fall, but they're making good contact, they're getting barrel on ball, you guys assess that as a positive, even though it necessarily didn't become a hit, but that's the mindset is still there?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's a lot of times where I'll have a line drive to short and it'll be a hard hit, and then times where I'll just hit a little dinky over the third baseman for a hit. So this game definitely doesn't really reward hard hits all the time, but we definitely recognize in the dugout, hey, you're having good at-bats, keep working. You might not have gotten the outcome, but you're right there, and continuing to encourage each other that you're on the right track and the next one will fall.
What will this weekend be like for you? And that could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time you're actually playing a former teammate, from college teammate, and playing Rach in particular. What will that feel like? Because you guys had gone through so much for 3+ years, and I know how Rachel left was a different circumstance than Brooke, but just what will that be like?
I feel like it'll be just like any other player that or teammate I've ever played with. I think there's 3 girls on UCLA that I played with in travel ball as well, so it's pretty much the same thing. Everyone plays with any given team that we've played this season. People have had former teammates on it, and so it's kind of normal. You've grown up playing against and with the same people, and so it's no different this weekend.
Did you take Brooks' departure personally, just in that, again, I know what you guys can say, but like Tara took that awfully personally, and it's known that way. So how did you take it? Did you think there was anything else, that she was saying anything else by just choosing to move on and do that?
I think just focusing on the team and what we have for the next year is our focus as a team. Don't really have anything to say about that.
Tara's, played against Arizona State. Alyssa played against her old team. Like, did you watch kind of what the emotions they experienced in those moments, and just to get a sense of what this will be like for you guys this weekend?
I think every time we've gone out and played either someone who we know or someone that a player's had a former team that we play, I think it's just the same as any other team. You just go out and play your hardest, and there's not really a story to it.
What are the particular challenges that you guys as players are focusing on trying to overcome going into this, the things that haven't quite stacked up in the previous series that you're trying to accomplish this series?
I think just knowing and playing our game and just executing the little things, moving people over, scoring, getting the leadoff on, making the routine plays, just kind of playing what we call Oregon softball, just our game, not focusing on who we're playing, just trying to execute the things that we work on every day in practice.
It seems like it's such a difficult mental balance, because you did square up a bunch of balls this past weekend that teammates didn't get rewarded for. But then there are some situations you didn't take advantage of, leadoff runners that reached, so that you could be frustrated by. Like, how do you strike that mental balance of some things didn't go your way, but also some things could have gone your way in terms of assessing positives and negatives to take out of a weekend?
Mm-hmm. I think it's just sticking to the process. Softball, we've all played softball for many years, and these things happen. Sometimes the ball drops, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you do your job, sometimes you don't, and it's just how you bounce back from that and learn from it. So just knowing what we can take away from the times where we didn't get what we want or the times where we did, and trying to have a better outcome the next time regardless.